Hi, everybody. This is Kathy L. Murphy, the Pulpwood Queen. And I'm here for another story time because I just received the most wonderful book for my grandson that I want to share with all of you. It is fabulous. It's called The Keeper of the Wild Words. This is a book written by Brooke Smith, and it's illustrated by Madeline Cloper. And as you can see, the little girl with her grandmother, Mimi. And now I will begin. At the end of a long cinder lane surrounded by meadows and pine trees and sky that wrapped around and back again, Brooke ran up to her grandmother's door, swung it open as she belonged. Mimi, I'm here. And now I'll show you the wonderful illustrations of Mimi's home. Can you see the garden, boys and girls? Shall we see what happens next? Brooke called her grandmother Mimi. She wasn't just a grandmother, she was a grand friend. Mimi had been waiting. She'd been sitting at her desk all day, distracted by a hummingbird, a wasp nest, a red-tailed hawk hovering overhead. Mimi was a writer. She wove words into everything that mattered. And my grandson, Hawthorne, has a grandmother who is a writer. That's me, boys and girls. Yes, and my daughters want him to call me Mama Cat. Well, Brooke was so excited to be visiting, she needed Mimi's help. Tomorrow was the first day of school, and Brooke had nothing for show and tell. Her summer had been wonderful, and she didn't have one special thing to share that her friends would always remember. Oh, I love Mimi's house. Look at the beautiful bookshelf and library. But today, Mimi needed Brooke's help too. She had something important to ask her. I'm afraid some of my favorite words are disappearing. Some of the wild words that I've known and loved my whole life. Oh no. How do words disappear? Brooke wondered. Words disappear if we don't share them when we talk, if we don't write them in our stories, and if we don't read them in our books. If we don't use words, they can be forgotten. And if they're forgotten, they disappear. Have you ever thought about words disappearing? Well, I have, boys and girls. I collect words. I need someone to help keep them safe, she continued, to help remember. I need you to be my keeper, Brooke, the keeper of the wild words. Can I wear a crown, Brooke asked. No, Mimi, she laughed. The keeper doesn't need a crown. She just needs to keep her eyes wide open and to really see and hear and feel all the wild words and be ready to see them all the time. That way she'll remember them. You can see Brooke is thinking about it. The keeper of the wild words. Look! And on this page, there is a list of words that I'm going to read to you. But first, from sunup to sundown, we'll walk and run and walk again. We'll sit and wait. We'll listen and we'll touch. until we find every word on this list, said Mimi, or every word on the list finds us first. So here are the words, boys and girls. Acorn, apricot, beaver, blackberry, buttercup, dandelion, doe, drake, fern, lavender, minnow, mint, monarch, poppy, porcupine, starling, violet, willow, and wren. That's quite a list. I'm ready, said Brooke, and they were off. And sure enough, as soon as they stepped into the morning, wild words were waiting for them. A wren sang a good morning song. A little brown bird with a voice like an angel, sitting high up, looking down and just waiting to say hello to the world. Bunches of violets spread underfoot. Sweet perfume filled the air, almost making Brooke dizzy. Little purple faces smiled, inviting the day to begin. Poppies in the corner of the yard suddenly popped open, paper petals reaching for the sun. And bushes filled with blackberries, just like the ones Brooke had eaten for breakfast, hundreds still waiting to be picked and enjoyed for dessert. Do wild words dance like this every morning? Oh, look at the beautiful pictures. Let's see if I can get some more light into the picture. There we go. Along the way, Brooke picked up an acorn that fell from a mighty oak, a big towering oak tree. Little Nut with a tiny brown hat, smooth round shell. She put it in her pocket to remember. Up ahead they saw light, reflected in a round mirror of water. It was a pond. When Brooke stopped and scooped up a handful of water, silver minnows swam in circles in their palm, now a pool. Whoever knew she could hold the wild? Then splash! Silence broken. A beaver jumped in, and then under it went, swimming towards the den, climbing up on the other side of the pond, and then disappearing from view. It's sure busy around here, Brooke said. Always, Mimi answered. Oh, I can see the beavers swimming and the little minnows in the pond. These are such beautiful, beautiful illustration, boys and girls. I hope you like them, from Madeline Cloper, who did all the art for the book. Bushels of mint surrounded the pond. Mimi picked stems and rubbed the leaves in her fingers. Brooke picked a leaf and put it in her mouth. Fresh, sweet, tangy. From the ground, from the earth, she could taste the wild. Then one last visitor waddled by. Green velvet head, bright yellow beak. Mr. Drake, Papa Duck running. Quack! Run! Lift off, wings out. There he goes. Where next? The meadow. Just follow the trail cut deep in the tall grass. Brooke ran ahead, so free, so free, so free. A butterfly, a monarch, diving in the breeze. Now you're just like me, free. Bright buttercups welcomed them, yellow petals glistening in the sun, a wild carpet of light and beauty. Quick, make a wish, said Mimi, holding out a dandelion. Fairy dust sitting on a stem. Blow on it and the seeds will fly, your tiny wishes in the air. See her blow the little seeds into the air? At the top of the meadow stood an old willow tree. The shade of the willow tree was like a dear friend. Mimi had known this tree forever. What a perfect place to have lunch, Mimi said. She took out small sandwiches and apricots picked from her yard. Round, fuzzy, sweet fruit as could be, the juice dripping with every bite. Rows of lavender lined the field below, filling the air with a magic perfume. Oh, I love a picnic, don't you? And there's the lavender fields in the background. What a beautiful day. Just then, overhead, Brooke could not believe her eyes. There's a bird cloud flying above us. Oh my, Mimi said. The starlings are back, such an amazing wonder. Thousands of birds swooped and darted and turned, somehow always staying connected. Then they floated away as mysteriously as they came. Oh, look at that. They filled the skies, the starling birds. Finally, they wandered over to the dense, dark woods. Brooke had always been a little afraid of the forest, and now part of her was wild, and she couldn't wait. A light rain began to fall. Suddenly, a summer shower. The rain made the smells of the forest come alive, and all the plants glistened. The ferns with their magnificent green feathered leaves curled up and then spread out like a fan for everyone to notice. It's been like that here, boys and girls, in the forest the past few days. But isn't the forest a wonderful place to go forest walking? What do you see? Mimi asked. Brooke looked across the forest floor, and sure enough, nestled in the needles was a doe, a deer, curled up like a fern, fast asleep in the shadows. Quiet, listen, quiet. We'll slowly walk by. We'll let her be. Oh, can you see her napping? She's taking a nap in the forest. In the woods, things appear around corners, tucked deep. Ahead they heard a rustling. Stop, Mimi said. Walk back slowly towards me. Right then, a porcupine popped up and ran up a tree. Porcupines, if they're scared, will let their quills fly. Surprises around the forest. Can you see the porcupine on the tree? Ooh, step back slowly. They were surprised to see him in the forest. Mimi had one other surprise. You know, my favorite wild word is not on the list, she said. It's standing right in front of me. A gurgling sound was coming from a clearing, light flickering on a glassy surface. It was a small stream, a brook. Dancing, sparkling, singing. It knew exactly where it was going. Joyful thread of water cutting through the trees. A brook. And the little girl's name was Brooke, too. The last wild word is you, Mimi said. You were named after this tiny stream that your mother always cherished. One could only imagine such a perfect name for the keeper of the wild words. Mimi, I never told you what I needed help with, said Brooke. What is it, Mimi said. I need something special for show and tell tomorrow, and now I have it. Oh, Mimi and Brooke. The night sky would soon be painted, stars gleaming overhead, a beautiful wild curtain closing on the day. Mimi's wild words were safe. They were shared and remembered, understood and deeply loved. When the wild wraps around you, it stays forever in your heart. And now Brooke was the keeper of the wild woods. But there's more. There's a note from the author. An author is someone who writes the book. And this author said, this book was inspired by an article I read that astounded me. The Oxford Junior Dictionary removed over 100 natural words from its pages. They no longer felt these words had any relevance for today's children. They were replaced by these words such as analog, cautionary tale, chat room, conflict, creep, database, drought, MP3 player, negotiate, vandalism, voicemail. And the author goes on to say, at first I was angry, then disillusioned, and ultimately very sad. Because boys and girls, the beauty of being a writer is that you can create a world that you want to see. I decided to write a book where some of these lost wild words would be celebrated and recognized beyond the pages of the dictionary, to perhaps shed light on what is transpiring by bringing them to life, and have children and their parents be aware of how much we need to sustain the language of the natural world. I hope I've done that with this book. I hope every one of us will be keepers of the wild words. I cannot imagine a world without these beautiful words in it. Love, Brooke. Excuse me. And Brooke Smith is our author. What a lovely book, boys and girls. And you can be a keeper too. Your wild words will stay safe inside this envelope. So you can put your wild words in this book. And this is the book, The Keeper of the Wild Words, by Brooke Smith, illustrated by Madeline Klepper. Beautiful illustrations, and it's a wonderful story. So as the sun is starting to set here in the East Texas piney woods, and I'm starting to get a halo or a glow, I hope you've enjoyed this story hour, boys and girls. And I will be sharing this on my Kathy L. Murphy YouTube channel, which I've also put other story times up. So tell your parents to go to the Kathy L. Murphy YouTube channel, and you can watch more stories and share them with your friends. Bye-bye for now. Thank you for joining me for the Pulpwood Queen story time. And hi, Hawthorne, to my grandson, who is my ultimate person to do storytelling with. Thank you so much. Bye for now.